I'm excited. And I don't really know where else to put all this stuff other than the hood of the truck. But we got a new toy. So for those of you that have been following around on the channel for a while, you'll know a lot of the things that Sasha has gone through in order to get where she is today over the last like 6 or 7 years, whatever, however long I've owned her. But basically, one of the major issues with this truck that I have been battling from the first day is, one, I don't have a trail cam. So I don't have any cameras up front to be able to show me what's in front of the truck while we're driving on the trails and off-road. Two, my reverse mirror is not great. And whenever you put anything in the bed of the truck, or in this case, you put a cap on the back, you cannot see out it whatsoever, which is a problem, because that means that I no longer have use of that mirror. So I went on to Google, and I found a pretty awesome piece of equipment that I'm really excited to install. It comes with very, very high reviews, and a lot of YouTubers have started picking these up for their overland rigs, and I'm just really excited. So let's get into it. I went to this company called, there you go, Wolfbox, and they had a sale going on, and I've been wanting to get one of these for a long time. So this is a mirror replacement. It's a rear view mirror replacement, but it has a built-in dash cam on the back of the mirror. So my Garmin that you really can't see, but it's there, I promise you, that gets removed because I don't need it anymore, and this will take its place. That's just a convenient benefit of this. The real benefit is that this hooks up to 2 extra cameras. One of them that'll be on the back of the truck, kind of like a backup camera, but up high, and the other one that'll be on the front of the truck. And those will be sending live feeds to this camera at all times. And so I'll be able to select, it's a touchscreen, I'll be able to select which cameras that I want to be looking through, and then whether or not I want to record, and it'll record all of them in sync, and I believe hook it up to the same file. It might make 3 separate files. I'm hoping 3 separate files, because the filming aspect for off-road and overland would be sick if I could just get separate files. But we got that to put together. So I got to open this box up, figure out all the parts, figure out what the heck I need to do in order to install this, because it's going to be an ordeal. I'm going to bust this open and figure out what I'm doing with my life. Bring it in close here and just kind of bust my way into this, huh? And there it is. Oh man, it looks so good. So good. Wow. God, I love that. Oh, it looks absolutely fantastic, doesn't it? Oh, no way. It comes with a 256 gigabyte micro SD card. Oh, that's freaking awesome. Huh. Looks like we got a mounting bracket, some other stuff. All right, we're gonna work our way through that box. I decided to reorient myself to the front seat here. So we had 3 bags or packages or whatever that went with this, along with like the main box setup thing. And so one of the bags is a filter. I don't know exactly what kind of filter. Oh, it's a CPL filter. Look at that. So basically a light filter, and helps with probably clarity, I would assume. I don't have a lot of experience with CPL filters. Oh, and it says it right there. Cuts off reflections and glare. The other kit is the OEM bracket is what it's called. And so basically this bracket right here connects to the actual mirror itself. And then this beefy thing should slot in where the OEM Tacoma bracket connects, I do believe. We also have this bundle of wires and craziness, which the other neat thing about this, I tried to figure out how to make it work with my Garmin, but I couldn't. I was probably doing something wrong, so I'll try to do it a little bit better with this one. But this has a parking mode, and so when the truck is off and out of accessory mode, so off, the backup camera and like all 3 cameras will just record if an incident is detected, allegedly. So that's what this cable bundle is for. And that comes with a bunch of anti-fuses. Of course, I already showed you the rear mirror anyways, but underneath it is this stuff. We have the backup camera and the extra camera. Oh, you can't even see it. The backup camera and the extra camera, and a whole bunch of cable extensions, which we're gonna need to get from the front of the truck to the back of the truck. So I think I'm gonna start with getting the rear view mirror installed, and so I'm gonna figure out how to take the OEM one off. It looks like it's just a singular screw along with that plug that's going into the back of it. I have no idea how long it's gonna take. I haven't watched a singular video on how to install this stuff. So some of my videos, I do a little bit of research ahead of time. This one has an instructions manual kind of built into the user's manual that comes with it, but it doesn't really tell you a heck of a lot that isn't, you know, common sense. So I'll be working my way through it, but my goal is to be able to do this on my own without any help, so that you guys can also do it on your own without any help. And yet you're watching this video. Would appear to be a T20. T20 is the removal one. So we have to actually change out the mounting points here, these little rubber tabbies. So underneath these stickers is little Phillips head screws. And so we'll remove all 4 of these little rubber things and the 4 screws. We're going to use the screws again because basically this is going to bolt right up into that. And then this gets bolted right up into that. And then it goes on. So I got those back pieces off, and something interesting, let me pull one out to show you so that you can do it the right way. Not that I did it the wrong way, I just didn't realize that this was a thing. So you just need a small Phillips screwdriver in order to remove that screw on the back there. And then these little inserts that had the rubber feet sitting on top of, if you pull back on this portion of the tab, it's just rubber, you'll see that that insert pushes up. So then you can get your fingers in there and gently, without losing the screw, remove that tab, and now you'll see that that foot can just slide right out, just like that. So that's how I remove those. And then those screws, save them because they get reused. So we'll take that new new plate that we have there, and we'll slide it into place, and then we'll take the same screws that we pulled out, the really tiny small ones, and drop them in. If I was smart, I wouldn't be doing this in the driveway, because if I drop this whole assembly and all the screws go into the grass, I got nothing. Also, I need a smaller screwdriver. That's awkward. Now, as I mentioned, we got to put this piece on to the back of this one. They included some new screws for that. There's 5 of them in here, in case you drop one. Nice. I will say that make sure orientation is the right direction. So this is what upright looks like, with the slant going down and away. And so if that is upright, it's going to slot in. You can see the way that that opening is, means that it'll slot because of the way that it is. Anyways, so you can take that, slide it in, and that's the way it's going to get screwed in, so that it will slot correctly onto the dashboard. So make sure that you don't make that mistake. So to keep you updated, so I could turn you more towards me. I took the A-pillar off. It's really easy. You've got 2 10mm bolts. I think that's what the OEM one was. I don't remember, because I have the KTJO driver's side grab handle installed. But for me, it's 2 10mm, and that pulls off of those 2 little clips that are right there. You'll be able to see the outline. You can get a little flathead in, or a body trim removal tool, and pop those little covers out, and then undo the bolts, and then slide it just out and away. There's nothing else that's holding it in. Yeah, so now I need to figure out how to run the cable. So this is the original, this is the Garmin cable, and I got to run the new one. So this one I'm going to go ahead and pull out. I was going to backfeed this one through using the Garmin cable. Well, actually, you know what? I could probably still do that, considering how long it is. But I have this little clampy thing. So I was just going to, you know, shove this down here. It actually worked really well. And I'll be able to just clip the cable from there and then pull it backwards and out. But I've got an alarm going off, so I gotta go take care of that. So if y'all don't have one of these little grippy clampy tools, it's literally the Craftsman, like, I don't know, grippy thing. You can buy them at Lowe's, which is great. Yeah, I've got it shoved in there, and then it fishes out to right here. You can see where my finger is. So I'm just gonna go ahead and clamp the power cable in and then just pull it backwards and out. And that's fed down to that fuse panel, which is where I'm gonna tap in for my add a fuse connections. Should be good. And just like that, we have ourselves the power cable. Go ahead and feed this the rest of the way up here, because that's going to end up going up the A-pillar across the top and then plugging into the camera or the rear view mirror. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now, and then we got to figure out what plugs or what fuses we're going to be tapping into for our accessory power, our battery power, and then also figuring out where the ground is going to get hooked onto. So shouldn't be too hard, but we'll do it. So the ground that I had connected for the Garmin camera is right at the bottom of the fuse panel. There's just a little nut bolt thing that kind of hooks on. One thing you want to make sure, because I could never get that to work, and I didn't really think about this before, but it could be that my ground is not good enough. So in order to check that, I'll show you. You got to get a multimeter and you put it on the resistance mode, and you basically check from the bolt or screw that you intend on using for your ground to any other metal piece in the car that is not near that one. So basically it will be able to tell you, well, I guess I should say not any other metal piece that's hooked up to the car battery negative terminal. So stuff like the frame of the car, bolts in the door, all those things are going to be hooked up to ground. And if you're looking at that and it reads less than, I don't know exactly what the value is, I usually go for 0 ohms, then or less than 1, then it is a good ground. So I'm going to go ahead and touch that spot and then just another random bolt, and you can see by the sounds it says 0. That means we have continuity. That is a good ground. And then because I'm right here and I already have this screw undone, I'm going to go ahead and put this one on. Little ground cable right here. I know the accessory cable works for the fuse that I have it tapped off of, because my Garmin turns on every time that I turn the truck on. But the battery cable is not the same. So to check that, you literally just take your multimeter once again, but this time on the voltage setting, so volts DC, because it is a DC battery in your car, 12 volt DC. And then you take that and check it to your ground, and then that should tell you if there's voltage there. And if there's not, well, obviously you did it wrong. Or not did it wrong, but don't have a good source. So I'm going to go ahead and select DC here. The arrowed fuse, which says S/roof, is indeed always on. So if we go right here, I'm going to take my red wire. It doesn't really matter in all reality. I'm going to put you down. I don't know, but I'll take the red wire, hook it up there, and then the ground, and hook it up to our ground, and then you'll see 12.41 volts. So that is continuous power. And as I mentioned before, I know the accessory wire works, but I'll double check it anyways. So I'll go ahead and put my add a fuse in there for that one, and we'll hook it up. So I just started up the truck, and I'll put this, I don't know, maybe you can read that, but you can see it's reading 0 volts, give or take, and I have it hooked into the accessory plug. I'll tell you which one that is here in a second. But then if I go to ground, you'll see it reads 14 volts. And if I shut the truck off, and I'll go back to ground. Oh. Huh. Okay, now we have it figured out. We got 14. Make it stop beeping, and then 0. I know what I did wrong. I had the accessory and the power switched, which is why my parking mode never worked on the Garmin. I cannot believe that I'm that dumb. Let me pull this back up for you so that you can see it again. And basically, on the left side, we had that S roof. That's what we tapped into for our battery power, which was the yellow. What? So the yellow wire is the B+, or the constant power from the battery. And then if you go to the other side, and you go the fourth down, the red 10 amp IG1NO2, or ignition 1 number 2, that is our accessory power. So the red wire is going to be connected to that one. And then of course the ground is on the ground. So I'm going to hook those up, run the cable up to the Wolfbox and plug her in. It turned on. I don't think I want it to turn on, but it turned on. Yes, English. Yes, New York. Confirm. That's a really good screen. Okay, and it turned off. Good, I think. I don't know how parking mode is supposed to work, but it turned off when I shut off the truck, so maybe it's working, maybe it's not. So the other thing that I really like about this setup is that you can hit this button down here, turn it off, and it becomes a mirror so that you can use like your reverse everything, or your backup, whatever you call this. But the only downside with that is having the camera on the front, it's now pointed off at an odd direction. So I'm surprised that there's no ability to like adjust the direction of the camera on the back of the mirror itself. When I first installed the Wolfbox, I was thinking that the dash cam that's mounted behind the mirror didn't like move. I thought it was like solidly facing in the straight direction, which I thought was dumb, because if you rotate the mirror to look towards you, now you kind of, you know, the camera's pointing in the wrong direction. Anyways, I'm an idiot, it's wrong. If I pull you off here and I point you towards that guy, this is actually like a ball and socket. And so I'm not gonna move it right now because I have it set up where I want to, but you can rotate this camera around like that to point in the direction that you want it to point, which is really freaking convenient. It will continue to operate even when you turn the screen off. It's still recording. It was at 33 seconds. I turn it back on, now it's at 36. So it's just blanking the colors and stuff that are on there, which is super nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and button up these cables that I have down here, and then we got to start working on figuring out how to run all of these wires to get the front and back cameras installed on the truck. I just pulled all the rest of the boxes apart. We have this cable that came in it. I'm assuming this is a power cable if you don't have the parking accessory mode thing that we installed over there into the fuse box and stuff. So that going away. They also include a license plate bracket, which I'm not going to use, so going away. And then if we go down here, we have all of these cables. So we have the backup camera with the GPS module, and then the extension for that one, and that is the extension that has the USB-C plug to it. And then we have the front-facing camera, or the accessory camera, which is the plug with the little, what is that, like a 6mm jack or something like that? I don't know how big that is. Anyways, but that is for the accessory. And then a ton of mounting brackets and 3M tape adhesive to be able to mount these things. And then zip ties, which is great. So I need to figure out exactly where I'm going to put both of those cameras, and then get them mounted however I'm going to mount them. And then we'll start running cables and plugging some things in, which I don't know how I'm going to do that either. It's going to be a good time, but we'll figure it out. Okay, so I went ahead and plugged everything in. I don't have this red like accessory power wire hooked up to anything yet. I don't know if I need it for the backup cam. Probably do, but we'll find out. So we're going to start it and see what happens. See if we're looking at ourselves. That should turn on any second and make noises. It does take a little bit to turn on.
500 point symbol.
Okay. Oh, cool. We've got a little direction thing and speed up here now. I hooked up the GPS module as well. Okay. Whoa, they work! Sick. Obviously that's upside down. Yeah, so it's flipped because it's a backup camera, and I've got the thing on it, so it's all like that.
That's sick.
So yeah, there's the front, and there's the back. And we can have all three, dude.
Hell yeah.
Or just back, or just front.
Fun.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh man.
A good picture too.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
So I realized after I put this back on that I need to take it off again, because the cables all go out to the right side of the mirror. So I'm gonna actually run these up through the head board thing. What is that called? Anyways, I'm gonna run it through here and then down the A-pillar And then just like we ran the cables for the power on the driver's side, I'm going to do the same thing and run it down the passenger side. And I'll show you, but there's a grommet over here underneath the carpet that leads right outside of the truck. It's so simple and easy. It's where I ran the cable for the automatic latch for the tailgate. Super simple and easy. Toyota makes it so easy on you. Unlike my buddy's Ford Ranger that like bedline the entire thing, and you can't run anything through the floor unless you drill holes in the steel. So anyways, all right, let me show you what we're working with here. So I got the cables fed here. It's not the prettiest going into the headliner, but it's running underneath the headliner through here, down through the A-pillar, down to right here. Obviously, all this is going to get covered up, but if you follow this carpet along the passenger side and you look just underneath the passenger seat, you'll see a little grommet. And that comes out, lay on the ground, right here, which is really convenient, right above this little plastic box here. So I'm going to run those cables, or those wires, through that grommet, and then the forward one is going to go forward to the front of the truck, and the rear one is going to go backwards to the back of the truck. Just make sure that when you're routing these cables, they don't get like pinched on anything. There's no potential for them to get pinched. Obviously the cables are sheathed, so as long as you don't slice into that, then you don't have to worry about the cables getting harmed or anything like that from being underneath the truck. I'd probably tuck them into somewhere that is less likely to get struck by a rock, because that would be unfortunate if you're on the trail and all of a sudden you lose your camera. Not a difficult fix, but unfortunate nonetheless. And then also the bed and the body are separate entities on the truck. Obviously they're both mounted to the frame, but they do kind of move independently of each other. So the transition between the body and the bed, I'm going to make sure I have a little bit of play, or like an extra little bit of loop of the cable, so that when the truck is flexing out and stuff, it doesn't rip the cable apart, because that would be really unfortunate. So I'm going to run these cables. I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not going to show that to you because it's not a difficult process. Just kind of walk your way along the underneath of the car and find places to either put the cable inside of the frame or zip tie it. The kit comes with a ton of zip ties. Zip tie it onto other wiring harness setups that are down there, whatever you want to use, and then route that to your the place that you're going to be running the camera. So I'm going to run the cables and get the cameras connected or mounted. I don't know exactly how I'm going to mount them yet. They include that 3M tape in the kit, but I'm not a fan of taping things down, especially when it's the outside of the truck. So I'm probably going to end up drilling holes and either using riv nuts or just like a nut and a bolt in order to hold them down a little bit more permanently. I do have M6 riv nuts, so I'm pretty sure that'll work. The front camera, I don't really know where I'm going to put that yet. I'm kind of thinking, really, right on top of the body armor 4x4 symbol. Now, I don't want to get rid of that symbol because I do like seeing it there, and it kind of shows it off. But it would be the easiest place to mount that camera. Now, the only problem I have is driving through mud and that kind of stuff. It's going to get pretty messed up. So then I was thinking maybe I'll mount it like right here on the front of the grill. I don't know. I'll play with it. It's a pretty big camera, so I'm going to have to see where it fits the best. But we'll figure it out. I don't think it's going to be too bad. And then the back one I'm going to put up on the top of the cab thing, the bed cover, and then connect it there. And then it won't interfere with the door or anything like that, and I don't have to worry about it. So should be pretty straightforward. It's just going to take a lot of time. So see you in a second. Different day, different shirt, and I unplugged the Rode mic because I wanted to be able to move the camera around without having to like disconnect it and all that sort of stuff. But I forgot to do a whole bunch of stuff in regards to this Wolfbox thing, and so we're going to talk about it now. The complaints that I have about the Wolfbox is really twofold. First, there's no auto brightening and dimming function that you get out of the rear view mirror, which is unfortunate. So during the day, it's a little bit too dim, and then at night, it's too bright. Now, you can dim it yourself if you wanted to. You can go into the settings and drop the brightness, but it's not bright enough that you want to be doing that all the time and clicking through settings to change it once a day. So I just don't. It's not blinding, it's just a little bit bright. And then the other problem that I have with it is when rain and like mist and stuff hit the lens of the camera. I'll show you on the back. It's more prevalent on the back because of all that water that gets kicked up while you're driving. So the lens itself, turning around here, the lens itself is just a circle, right? You can see that. And so the water will bead up, it'll turn into a water droplet, and it'll hang out on the bottom of the lens, because that's what water does with gravity. But surface tension keeps it there because this plastic is rougher than the glass that is in front of the camera. And so with a bead of water right here, half of your screen, aka the entire usable portion down at the bottom, is completely blurred out from the water. So had Wolfbox done something different where they included like an additional little bit of glass or something smoother on the bottom that the water could run further below the camera lens, it would have done much greater things for your ability to see in a rainstorm. Because like if it's raining, I don't even bother using my rear view camera, because as soon as that water bead shows up, I know it's not going to go away until the sun comes out. So it is what it is. And then of course having a front camera anyways, when you're driving through mud, it's going to get dirty. That aside, I love the idea. It works amazing. I will show some onboard footage of that. So I just got to go for a drive, or maybe I'll just play some regular footage that I have and then do a voiceover. That's probably what I'm going to do. I'll show you what that footage looks like from the Wolfbox perspective. Awesome. Well, here we are. Finally, Sasha is in a position that I can drive her for the purposes of showing off the Wolfbox, which is a good thing. So, anyways, we are here driving in Sasha, and this is obviously daytime, and I'll also be doing a nighttime clip probably tomorrow morning on my way into work, so that you guys can see pretty much how bright the Wolfbox is at night. Granted, once again, you know, if there's no light out there, it's not going to see anything, but it can pick up so much detail with just a little bit of light, which is wild. But as you can see, the quality of the cameras is surprisingly decent. The onboard camera for the dash cam is a higher quality than the other two. I believe the dash cam is 4K. Might be higher than that, I'm not entirely sure. But then the rear view is slightly lower quality. If the dash cam is 4K, the rear view is then probably 2K. And the front camera is even lower than that, which I know the front camera to be 1080p. So obviously, you know, you're losing quality with the different cameras, but I mean, it's pretty darn good for what it is, and I cannot complain. And then once again, you can kind of select through and whatever camera you want to be watching, unless you want to watch all three. But yeah, quality is really nice, and it keeps up pretty well. There are times that it'll get a little bit glitchy and kind of like wobbly and just look weird. I don't know if that comes through on the recordings or if that's just what's being fed to the screen. But if I catch any of that on camera, I'll show that to you so that you can see what I'm talking about. Otherwise, maybe I'm just going crazy, and that's not that big of a deal. So, yeah, Wolfbox, love it. The Wolfbox is doing the Wolfbox things. It is recording at all times as it does, and it looks fantastic, you know? Hey guys, it's me from the desk, and I just wanted to let you know real quick that the dash cam did not record. It did record, however, I have a really small SD card in there right now. I totally forgot to swap it back to my 400 gigabyte one, and it overwrites itself automatically. Now, if there is an accident, that will overwrite any previously recorded stuff, right? So it's not like, you know, if you're driving around town and you have a small SD card and you get into an accident, right? All that previous data doesn't really matter. Only what happens in the accident does, and that gets saved and will not be overwritten. Anyways, so I didn't think about that. My bad. Next clip, you'll get that front camera for the darkness and the morning drive to work. Any small amount of light and this thing just illuminates. You know, if it was pitch black, you get a lot more graininess in the footage, in the video. You can still see, kind of, especially if you hit the brakes and your brake lights throw a little bit of that red light out back there. But it's very, like, surprisingly clear. Obviously, looking at the GoPro, you can't see anything right now. So the Wolfbox is set up to be able to receive a lot more light. Point is it looks great, and I honestly have been very happy with it. I have done a couple of overland off-road trips, and we've done night rides, and I've never been able to film at night because my GoPro cannot pick up the light very well, but having the Wolfbox gives me the ability to kind of film at night, at least a little bit, because the footage actually comes through with something that you can see. And then, I know we're talking through the GoPro at the moment. However, if we fade over, you'll see that the Wolfbox is also recording my voice and everything that's happening inside of the cab. All three cameras have the same audio track that are inside of the cab, but for some reason the dash cam audio track is just a little bit higher of a quality, but the audio quality is surprisingly good. You know, and I can use like voice isolation software and whatnot, which is probably what you're listening to right now, to get rid of any of the extra car noise. So in all reality, you can just use the audio coming from the Wolfbox if you're using that for filming or something like that, and not just for accidents. But yeah, the thing works amazing, and I am so happy that I have it installed on my truck, because it is quite the positive upgrade. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure I'll do an outro later, or forget, and then in which case, see you at the desk. So something else that I need to showcase is the parking sensor kind of functionality of the Wolfbox. And so I'm in the car right now, obviously, and it is unlocked. The lock versus unlock doesn't really matter. It's kind of like an accelerometer or something that's on board of the Wolfbox itself. There it feels a vibration or it feels a slam, and that's what triggers it to start recording, right? So I'm going to spin the camera around here, and I'll show you what that looks like. So here we are looking at the Wolfbox. Obviously, truck is off, right? And if I close the door really well, okay. Bruh. Now you don't want to do it? Alrighty, well, usually when I do that, it pops on immediately and starts recording. I was just going to show you what that looks like. Literally, the screen turns on, but instead of a red flashing light in the corner, it has a yellow flashing light saying that it's recording for an accident, and it does that. You can select how long. I think it's like 10, 30, or 60 seconds, something like that. And I think I have it selected to 10 because I don't really need it to be that long. But yeah, so the footage looks exactly the same. It just saves it in a different folder, but I'll show you that from the desk. Basically what was happening there is usually whenever I slam the door hard enough, the screen actually pops on the Wolfbox. It gives you the little yellow light up in the upper left-hand corner that says, hey, I'm recording because I detected an accident. Whereas usually when you're driving, it's a red light. But for some reason, the screen didn't come on. I slammed my door 3 times, and none of the times did the screen come on. But when I came back to the desk with the SD card, all 3 of them had recorded as accidents and were in the emergency folder section, which was interesting. I think that is a smarter move, I suppose. If someone's like breaking into your car or whatever, you don't want to have the camera or the mirror automatically turn on and alert them to the fact that it's recording, because then they might, hi Salem, cat tax, because then they might, rip your Wolfbox out, steal the SD card, whatever. But point is it didn't come on, it confused me, but it worked, and you got to see that footage. So with that, I really, really like this thing, so much so that I'm actually thinking about buying one for my Mazda Speed in order to install the same tri-camera setup inside of my Mazda. I don't need that. However, I love the idea that if you happen to get into an accident, you have cameras looking at the front and the back. And currently I do not have that. I kind of do. I have the Garmin little dual thing, so it's looking inside of the cab as well. But it's just the Wolfbox is cool. I like it a lot. And in the Mazda, I can mount it inside of the cab so that the rear view doesn't get kicked up with water, which is one of the problems I was talking about. You were distracting the hell out of me. You know that? Yeah, I can't talk. Anyways, I hope you all have enjoyed. And if you have any questions, please drop them down in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them. Wolfbox, if you're watching this, I love your product, and I would love to put another one in my other car. So you should definitely reach out to me. Maybe. Unsponsored video, obviously. None of my videos are sponsored, which is what it is. That just means that I get to use no filter when I'm talking about stuff, so that you know, hey, this is my opinion straight up. This is my experience with the company, with the products, and is what it is. So with that, I'll see you guys next time. Hope you have enjoyed. And don't forget to live from dusk till dawn, my dudes.